All right, week number 2. We're going into the second weekend of actually having in-person gatherings. We had our very first church service last Sunday where we all gathered in this room, and it was the first time we had done that since middle of March. So putting the final touches on just getting everything ready for the weekend as we go into weekend number 2 of in-person gatherings. I know it's different in different parts of the world. I'm here in Oklahoma City, so the southern part of the United States. I'm curious where you're at. Have you gotten back into being able to meet in person? Are you still doing online only? Are you meeting in parking lots? So what does that look like for you? Put that in the comments below. I'm curious to know how things are different in different areas of the world. A few weeks ago, I sent out a survey to pretty much anyone that I had an email address for. And I asked the question, hey, what are some of the pain points? What are the things that you are wrestling with within your worship ministry? With the idea that if I can get a decent idea of what everyone's struggling with, it helps me to make content here on YouTube that is valuable to you. And the number one answer, there's a lot of things that came up, but the number one answer had to do with volunteers. Finding volunteers, recruiting new volunteers, managing the volunteers that we have, keeping them, all the things that entails. That makes sense. We get into this as worship leaders because we like music and we like singing and we enjoy leading others in worship. But part of the leadership that we need to bring to the table a lot of times is managing a volunteer of a band and volunteers that are running tech and media and all those kinds of things. And you may not consider yourself just this natural born leader of people in that idea. This is one of the extra things that we talk about when you lead a worship ministry. So I want to touch on that for just a second. I think that there's multiple areas that we can talk about, and we'll do so in future videos. But I want to touch on one thing, one simple thing that as you are working with your volunteers, something to keep in mind, and it's this. When they serve in your ministry, what is in it for them? What did they get out of serving in your ministry? Now, I get it. It's not about them. It's not about me. It's not about any of us. There's a bigger purpose than that. But there needs to be some kind of motivation to do what we do. We, as the worship leaders, as the leaders of this ministry, there is some external motivation to do what we do. If the only thing that we have is that we ought to, there's this obligation to do this, that isn't sustainable long term. So if we can for a second live in this world where, yes, it is not about us, but we can also ask the question why are they continuing to serve week after week? Why would someone new want to serve in your ministry? What is in it for them? One is I think it fulfills a purpose. If you're doing something that you were created to do and it fits like a glove, there's kind of this satisfaction that comes from that because you were designed with a purpose to do something. That could be playing an instrument or being able to lead or to use technology, use a computer, run sound, whatever it happens to be within your ministry. It might be even outside the realms of a Sunday morning. It might be photography. It might be drawing, anything like it within that creative ministry space. If you're doing something that you were designed to do, then that purpose is fulfilled and there's satisfaction that comes from that. So that's number one. Another thing that what's in it for them is having a voice within the ministry. Are they just fulfilling a role within a machine that you've created? Or is this a ministry that they can take ownership in, put fingerprints on, have a voice in? Here's a couple of examples. How much do you let them speak into how the songs are played, on their instrument? How much freedom do you give them to maybe come up with a different part than maybe that was on the album? Maybe you have people pray at the beginning of rehearsal instead of you, or having someone pray within the service, having them lead a song, letting them bring songs to the table. Hey, I heard this song and it really speaks to me. Do you think we could do it some Sunday? I'm not saying that you have to say yes to all of these things, but at least looking for those on-ramps, trying to find ways where people can be a part of something instead of just filling a role and being a cog in this greater machine. I think you can even go as far as to let them lead out and actually make decisions within the ministry. Again, I don't think this is for everyone, but as you train and groom leaders, maybe you have someone that leads an entire service instead of you, or put together a team of people that helps you pick the songs, or at least the direction of the ministry in terms of how you're going to spend time, where it's not just falling on you, but other people that are, that are really starting to figure out the vision and the direction you're wanting to go, you get new voices in there. And what I love about this is that when I started doing this and allowing other people to speak in, I noticed that the ministry got not just a little bit better, but infinitely better, because they're going to bring different experiences. They're going to have different personalities. They're going to have different priorities. And instead of the ministry just looking like you, it's starting to look like the entire church. Another thing that would be in it for them is support. How are you supporting them and how they serve in the ministry? Part of that is just going to be coming to the table organized, making sure that they have all the songs they need, all the charts that they need. When they come into rehearsal, we've got wire baskets that has, when people come in, it has their name on it, and they can get their microphone and their inner pack and anything else that they need. Like when they come into one of my rehearsals, my people know exactly what's expected of them. They don't have to second guess or any of that, and they just walk into a system that makes it really clear what the expectation is. And I find that people really enjoy that. Like they want to know that they don't have to think more than they have to. Like it's been taken care of. Another thing is that, I had a drummer a few weeks ago that said, hey, it'd be really cool if I had a stick caddy, if I had something I could put like right here by the hi-hat and put my cymbals, because they keep rolling off my kick drum. It'd be really cool if I had that. Well, I made sure that by the next time that he sat behind the drums that we had one. For $20, I can put something in there and say, okay, you're telling me that this is something that would make it easier for you to serve in this ministry. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that that's a thing. And not only did I get it, but I did it as quickly as I possibly could to say, hey, look, I value you. I'm going to support you in what you're doing. And if you tell me you need something, I'm going to make sure that you have what you need to serve effectively in the ministry. And I guess the last thing is community. You're building a sense of community. These are our people that are coming together under maybe some common interests and beliefs. Obviously, they're all Christians, so we have that belief in Jesus that kind of brings us together. But these are people that enjoy hanging out with one another. And so making sure that there's time for people to talk and to get into people's lives. Maybe even create a Facebook group where other people can join in there and they can share everything from memes that they think are funny that are music related to prayer requests and things that are going on in their life. If they have a birthday, say happy birthday. If they tell you that in a couple of weeks on a certain date that they're going to have a surgery, put a note in your phone that on that morning it reminds you, hey, I need to send a text to this person to let them know that I'm praying for them, that I'm thinking about them, that there is a shepherd. There's someone that is caring for them. There's a sense of community among the people that serve in the ministry. And what I've loved about having this thought process, about putting people first, and I even heard it said this way, is that it's so easy in ministry, especially worship ministry, to want something from an individual. I want you to play drums. I need you to run sound. You have a talent that I need. I want something from you. But if you can flip that on its head and say that I want something for you, that this ministry can provide, that your life can be better, that God can minister in the life of this person through your ministry and what they do. You want something for them, and the means that happens is there just happens to be an opening for a drummer on the team. There happens to be an opening for a sound person on your team, and that person fulfills that role and obviously serves within the ministry, but there's a greater thing going on. If you can think, what do I want for this person? And people can see the life that is happening in the ministry, that they see the purpose in what they're doing, that's going to be infectious. And as you create that, and as the people that are currently in your ministry talk about that to other people, those other people are going to want to be involved in what you're doing. I've had people come up to me that say, I can't sing, I don't play an instrument, I think I'm creative, I'm more maybe analytical or whatever, but I want to be a part of what you're doing. Is there a place for me? And you need to have an answer for that. And the answer needs to be yes, it is this. So I think one of the biggest things that really ties together, how do you find volunteers? How do you recruit volunteers? How do you maintain volunteers? How do you deal with maybe some of the drama that comes up when you deal with people and volunteers and all the other things that involves working with people? If you can have the mindset of what's in it for them and helping them to fulfill that, it's only going to make your ministry thrive and be healthy. What's your thoughts on that? Like, I would imagine there's a lot of smart people that are watching this that you maybe have some rare, unique ideas about how you are serving people, how you are making sure that they are being fulfilled, and just making it a joy to serve in your ministry. If you have an idea like that, put that in the comments below. Let's keep this going and let's learn from one another.